The murder of the notorious Big could probably go down as the biggest murder in the last 100 years. What happened to him? Several theories from police officers, Greg Kading, several theories from bodyguards, Eugene Deal, people that were eyewitnesses in the area, but the murder has never been solved. What do I think happened? Stay tuned, we'll get into it. Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious Big, was born May 21st, 1972 in Brooklyn, New York. And he would just rise to fame as the biggest rapper out of the East Coast, if not the world. He joined Sean Puffy Combs at Bad Boy Records in 1993 as it opened. He released Ready to Die, a couple songs on that album. Juicy in 1994. One More Chance, that was a great one. And my personal favorite in March 4th, 1997 was Hypnotize. The video was groundbreaking, multi-million-dollar video. They pulled out all the stops. It blew people away. It was the biggest thing of its time. Before I get into my theories on what I think happened and what's most likely happened, I just wanted to do a drive along. I live in Los Angeles and I've been a fan of Biggie since the 90s. You know, when I was basically a kid. But it was eerie to be there. As you see right now, this is me in my truck. We drove out of the Peterson Automotive Museum. Actually, they've redone the fascia of it. It's been redone. But it was a cold, dark night in Los Angeles when we filmed this. And it was eerie. It almost was like I could feel it. You know, in that, it was like in the atmosphere. As everyone's already heard 1,000 times, it was a late 90s, either black or dark blue SS Impala. But just being there in front of the Peterson and just being on the corner of Fairfax and Wilshire, I could feel like how small it feels right there. You got one little lane to the left of where Biggie's car was, the Suburban, and there's so many areas where people could be hiding. After I watched Murder Rap and hearing the beginning of it and the frantic nature of these guys, I just had to do the drive along. I had to be there. I had to feel it, what it must have felt like the night he was murdered. And it just was chilling hearing the 911 calls. And I live 5 minutes from this location. And as you see right now, we're doing the drive along. We're driving up Fairfax as I assume they went. They went straight up, and then they went down Beverly to Cedars-Sinai, where he was pronounced dead. And I was doing about 35 miles an hour. I wasn't speeding, and it took me 6 minutes to get there. And if I was doing 80 miles an hour, I'm sure we could have got there in 2 minutes. I mean, it is that close. And so, yeah, we did the drive along. We went right into the emergency room where he was pronounced dead. Let's get into what happened. Let's get into what we know. Number one, we know there was a rivalry between Suge Knight, Death Row, Tupac, and basically the East Coast. In my estimation, there's a few moving parts here. Okay, if we start with the West Coast, we have Suge Knight. He's a blood Piru, and his rivalry over here is with the Southside Crips. Your Keefe D, your real gangster. I'm currently reading, almost finished, Keefe D's Compton Street Legend. I've seen his interviews on Vlad, as everybody's seen, and he's recently been indicted. And the rivalry between them. Yes, they grew up together, they played football together, but there was a huge rivalry, okay? And obviously everybody also knows that Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, he was frightened. He was frightened of Suge, and he was crafty. He was smart, okay? And he wasn't about to lose his record company. And what does he do? He did the smartest move. He aligned himself with Suge's enemies. Suge's enemies were the Southside Crips, and these guys were no joke, and they were not to be messed with, as we'll see in our next episode when I do the Tupac episode. So you have two different theories in the killing of Biggie. you have Greg Kading, police officer, and he believes it's Wardell Poochie Faust. And then you have Last Man Standing, the David Mack theory, the Mir Muhammad, the Harry Billups. Okay, Eugene Deal, that's all he talks about. Little C's, that's who they thought they saw that night. Okay, so let's look at the evidence from Greg Kading. Okay, he obviously thinks Suge Knight gave a payment of $25,000. Suge's baby mama came into jail, and with the wire, there was no wiretaps allowed, and she wanted him to contact Wardell Poochie Faust. Okay, the evidence does point to this, according to Greg Kading. Also, what he said is he kind of set up Suge's baby mama. Okay, he wrote some kind of fake letter that supposedly Poochie outlined how he did the murder. Okay, this is the problem with this part of it, is she might say anything to get the hell out of there. Okay, number one, that's that side. Okay, then you have the David Mack theory. Okay, and why is Greg Kading's there? He's there to protect the LA Police Department from a $400+ million lawsuit from Valletta Wallace. Okay, so all he has to do is disprove that they had anything to do with it. Okay, that's in court. Okay, but in real life, you have people like Eugene Deal. Okay, and also you have Tupac's ex-manager. She saw David Mack and these guys there. There's images of David Mack in red. There was a shrine at his house of Tupac, as Greg Kading's told us. If you listen to Eugene Deal, he saw a guy in a blue bow tie. It looked maybe like it was Amir Muhammad or someone like that. And also, Little C's, he saw someone like that. But according to Greg Kading, he was looking behind him. And the best person to see was Little C's. And they know very little. But if you think about this whole thing, okay, all these guys know each other, okay? Just like Mob James said, the hood talks. Poochie could have done the killing, but these guys all know. They could have been involved also. David Mack, okay, he robbed that bank for $700,000, and I keep hearing from everybody like Greg Kading and these guys that, Amir Muhammad, he's a mortgage broker. So what? What does that matter? This guy, that just means he likes money, okay? If he loves money, and David Mack, who idolizes Suge and Tupac, right? And he's also been involved with the Rampart scandal. What does he care to go to his college buddy, Amir Muhammad, and say, listen, I'm going to give you several $100,000 if you mow this guy down? What do you think Amir Muhammad's going to think? That's bucks. I'm going to go out and buy some properties, some rental properties, okay? He would, you put a gun in the guy's hand and put a bandana on him or whatever, why wouldn't he do it? Back then, they didn't have the cameras also. Sometimes the easiest explanation is just the truth. And the reality is, it's highly likely that Wardell Poochie Faust did the killing, okay? If you talk to Reggie Jr., if you talk to Mob James, who were in the area, they knew one thing about Poochie. He's not there for flash or for rapping or for, a ladies' man. Nothing like that. He is a get-the-job done dude, okay? That is it. That's why he's there, all right? He's their, get-it-done guy. That's it. And everybody said that about him. So really, this is the biggest problem, but there's no eyewitnesses. There never will be. You just have some scared lady, okay, Suge's baby mama, threatened by Greg Kading. We're going to take your kids away. She'll say anything. She'll sign anything. And I think that's the weakest part, and I don't hear anybody saying this about the Greg Kading's case. Oh, she came in and signed and she filled in the blanks. She'll fill in anything you tell her to save LAPD's ass, okay? So, again, but David Mack, you think that guy doesn't care to mow down Biggie? Of course he would do it, okay? If he's going to rob a bank, okay, he'll kill Biggie, okay? Obviously, he doesn't care, okay? And according to the people that were there, okay, that's who they see, okay? They see this guy. Why are they acting so weird with the guy in the bow tie? Why are they up in the face? If you want an autograph, fine, but you're acting sketchy. You're acting like a lookout guy, right? You're looking out, is that Biggie? Okay, let's get back to the other guy. Tell him where Biggie is. He's in the second SUV in the passenger side. That's all he needs to do, okay? Boom. So in conclusion, what do I think happened? I think it's likely that Wardell Poochie Faust is the killer. But I think it's 100% likely that he worked alongside David Mack, Muhir Muhammad. Okay? He worked alongside these guys. They all know each other. Unbelievably devoted to Death Row Records, to Suge, to that empire. You got to remember, he had only been in jail for 6 months. Nobody knew that he was later going to lose Death Row and was all going to go downhill. Death Row's office was in Beverly Hills, a mile down the road from the Peterson. Everybody out here, it's a smack in the face for Biggie and Puffy to come out here. That's what they thought. So, in conclusion, what do I think happened? I think they were all involved. I think they all know. David Mack in his red suit, and Greg Kading saying, oh, he didn't work for Death Row. Of course he was around him. There's pictures of them together, okay? They all knew. They're all in on it. Who's the gunman? Any one of them. Amir Muhammad in his bow tie, Poochie Faust, or David Mack. Easily. Any one of them, and I believe they all know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Stay tuned for my next episode.